Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. Hope Valley, in the quiet glow of a new year. Felt as if it was preparing for something the town itself hadn't yet found the words for. The winter had been unusually calm, the snowfall gentle and rhythmic. As though the valley wanted to soften the world before the next chapter unfolded. And in the early days of 2025, the town's heartbeat shifted. Slower at moments, faster at others. As new stories began weaving themselves into the lives of the people who called this place home, Elizabeth awoke earlier than usual that morning, sensing something stirring in the air, feeling she couldn't explain but felt deep in her chest. The world outside her window glistened with frost, the sky pale and dreaming. And she wrapped her shawl around her shoulders before stepping away from the quiet comfort of her room. Little Jack had fallen asleep with a book still open beside him, and Elizabeth gently tucked it away, brushing her hand through her son's hair with the kind of tenderness that needed no words. Even before she reached the door, she heard soft footsteps outside. She hadn't planned on visitors, but Hope Valley was a place where unexpected knocks often meant unexpected stories. When she opened the door, she found a letter resting on the step, not mailed. Not tucked into the box, but placed carefully as if the person who left it didn't want to be seen. The handwriting was unfamiliar, flowing and deliberate, and though she hesitated for a moment, she knew she had to read it. The letter spoke of someone returning to Hope Valley, someone who had once lived on the edges of the town's history but had never fully been part of it. There were no details, no signature, just a simple sentence. Soon the past will visit Hope Valley again. Elizabeth felt the note settle into her thoughts, mysterious and unsettling, but not frightening. Instead, it stirred curiosity. What past, whose past, and why now? While Elizabeth pondered the letter, Nathan rode into town with a pace that suggested he, too, felt the strange energy of the morning. His horse kicked up soft puffs of snow with each step, and Nathan's gaze moved slowly across the familiar streets. Something felt different, and even though he couldn't pinpoint what it was, his instincts sharpened. May was already preparing the cafe for the day. The warm scent of tea and fresh bread drifted into the air as she lit the lanterns one by one. She noticed Nathan slowing his horse near the window and waved. Nathan nodded back, though his mind was clearly elsewhere. May stepped outside, wiping her hands on her apron, and asked if everything was all right. Nathan explained that he had received a message the night before, one he hadn't told anyone about yet. It came from someone claiming to have information about an unresolved case from years earlier, something that had once nearly pulled Hope Valley into danger, but which most believed had been put to rest. May listened carefully, sensing the weight of the message. Nathan didn't reveal the details, not yet. But the seriousness in his expression told her that whatever the message contained, it wasn't something to dismiss. As the town slowly awakened, rumors began to stir off from gossip, but from intuition. Rosemary, of course, was the first to sense that Hope Valley was on the edge of a news story. As she prepared her notes for the next edition of the Valley Voice, she felt her usual spark of excitement turning into something sharper. She couldn't explain it, but she was certain that the biggest story of the year had already begun, even if she didn't yet know where it would lead. Lee, meanwhile, had been working on a new expansion project near the mines, something he hoped would bring new jobs to Hope Valley. But even he sensed that a shift was coming. The workers had mentioned strange noises echoing through the canyon at night, sounds they had never heard before. Lee dismissed it at first, chalking it up to winter winds, but the unease lingered. By mid-morning, the sun finally broke through the blanket of clouds, casting long golden rays over the town. It was then that Elizabeth found herself walking toward the schoolhouse with the mysterious letter tucked inside her coat pocket. Children greeted her with bright smiles, unaware of the undercurrent running through Hope Valley that day. She reminded herself that their innocence was something she needed to protect, no matter what changes were heading their way. But Hope Valley did not wait long to reveal its first twist. Shortly after lunchtime, a stranger arrived. He rode a horse that looked exhausted from long travel, and though the man wore a coat covered in dust and frost, his posture suggested resilience, not weakness. His face was hidden beneath his hat, but the moment he stepped off the horse, several townspeople paused to look at him not out of fear, but out of familiarity. Something about him felt like a memory returning to life. Nathan approached first, his hand subtly resting at his side, prepared but not apprehensive. The stranger lifted his head slowly, revealing eyes that held stories no one in Hope Valley had heard yet. He introduced himself as Daniel Carter, though the name meant little to anyone at the moment. It was what he said next that shifted the town's heartbeat entirely. "I'm here," Kay announced calmly, "because someone in this town is in danger, and I think I'm the only one who knows what's coming." The words rippled across the square, leaving a quiet hush behind them. Elizabeth, watching from across the street, felt her heart kick in her chest. Rosemary scribbled notes even before she realized her hand had moved. May stepped forward to listen more closely, and Nathan, eyes narrowing, asked Daniel to explain himself. Daniel revealed fragments of a story that felt too strange to be ignored. He spoke of a group moving quietly across regions, a group seeking something valuable lost decades ago. Their trail had led them near Hope Valley, and though Daniel didn't yet know what they wanted, he believed the answer lay somewhere within the town. Elizabeth felt the mysterious letter in her pocket again, as though it were pressing against her ribs. Could the person who left it be connected to Daniel? Or worse, could the message be a warning of the danger he spoke of? As the day progressed, Hope Valley found itself caught in a blend of caution, curiosity, and unease. People continued their daily tasks, but with more glances over their shoulders. More whispers exchanged in quiet corners. More speculation about what a horror who was heading their way. But even amid the unease, life continued to unfold in ways that reminded everyone of the resilience that defined Hope Valley. At the schoolhouse, Elizabeth watched her students practice writing stories of their own. She encouraged them to dream big, to imagine adventures, to explore possibilities that stretched beyond the valley. And as she listened to their laughter, she felt comfort in the thought that even if danger approached, hope always lives strongest in the hearts of the young. Nathan spent the afternoon questioning Daniel, trying to separate fact from fear. Daniel's answers were steady, though incomplete. He had spent years following clues, trying to find the truth behind a long-lost treasure that once belonged to a traveling family whose history had vanished into rumor. And some group believed Hope Valley held the final piece of that puzzle. May, concerned for Nathan's safety, prepared a warm meal for him at the cafe, insisting he take a moment to rest. Nathan, though grateful, remained distracted, sensing that his role as protector of the town was entering a new chapter, one he hadn't been trained for, but one he was ready to face. Rosemary and Lee spent the evening in their office, trying to figure out what angle to approach the story from. Rosemary wanted to publish something immediately to warn the town to keep people informed, but Lee urged caution. If they published too soon without understanding what was truly happening, they could cause unnecessary panic. Rosemary reluctantly agreed, though her journalistic instincts simmered, ready to burst at the first sign of clarity. As the sun dipped behind the mountains, Hope Valley was painted in soft shades of violet and rose. The lanterns flickered on one by one, casting warm circles of light across the streets. The town looked peaceful, almost serene, but the people inside, their homes, felt the weight of the unknown pressing around them. Elizabeth spent the evening thinking about the letter. Eventually, unable to dismiss the unease any longer, she took it out and read it again. She wondered who had written it, and why they hadn't signed their name. She wondered whether the letter was warning her specifically, or if it was meant for Hope Valley as a whole. And she found herself wondering whether Daniel Carter's arrival was the beginning of something larger than any of them could imagine. But something else stirred within her, something more hopeful than fearful. She sensed that this approaching danger, whatever it was, might also reveal truths long hidden, open paths long closed, and bring connections that had been waiting quietly to form. Nathan, standing outside his home with the cold air brushing against his face, scanned the horizon. He had always been a man of duty, but tonight he felt something different, determination mixed with instinct, a pull deeper than responsibility. He vowed silently to protect Hope Valley no matter what came. Daniel, staying in a small room above the cafe, stared at a map spread across his bed. His finger traced lines leading to Hope Valley, stopping at a point he had circled months earlier. He whispered to himself as though repeating a promise. "This time I won't fail." Far from the town, in the dark quiet of the canyon, a figure watched the distant glow of Hope Valley's lanterns. Their breath formed a thin mist,